Hey everyone, what's up? This is Dr. Charlie Johnson, physical therapist. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. In this video, I'm going to share with you sort of a paradigm or a mindset shift in the way you should view getting out of pain, right? So I think this is a really important nugget for folks who are in pain and searching for relief, which is what we all want at the end of the day, right? If we're hurting and we're experiencing pain. So look, as an expert in helping people with unresolved back, butt, and sciatic problems all over the world, one thing I sort of emphasize to everyone I chat with is this. I say, hey, don't focus on pain relief. Instead, focus on the pain relief process and let pain relief naturally follow. So don't focus on pain relief. I get it. It sounds a little backwards, but that's what I tell people, right? Instead, focus on the pain relief process. And so, I want to share what I mean by that or by this and what that pain relief process looks like so that you can sort of shift the way that you're approaching this sort of very muddy and mysterious and often very challenging problem to fix. So hopefully you can have more success if you look at things this way. In fact, I know you will. And look, there's no pressure. If you're interested in my help and sort of you're open to learning this pain relief process, then I'd love to see if/how I can help. What you would do to do that is you would click the card at the top here, little pop-up. It'll take you to my private application. You can schedule a time to chat and we can see if/again, how I can help and if it's a fit to potentially work together. So hopefully this video helps. Stick around if you're searching for pain relief, right? And I'll show you what that means. Don't do that. Please focus on the pain relief process. So let's cover what I mean by that. Okay, so let's dive into it and chat about the exact pain relief process that I use with clients all over the world to help them with these unresolved back, butt, sciatica problems. This is something that you can absolutely learn, and it takes you from focusing on pain relief to focusing on the pain relief process. And again, I want to share why that's so important. So look, most people spend their time, probably including you, by the way, energy and money searching for pain relief, just basically ways to reduce their pain and feel better, right? And, when you start to have pain, panic sets in, right? I hurt. I need something or someone to just relieve my pain, just cut my leg off, just do something to get me out of pain. And we have quick fixes, right? We have pills, we have shots. We have surgery. The world is drawn to a lot of these quick fixes. And so, look, I get it. And at first thought it sort of makes sense. But here's the real problem and why this does not result in long-lasting changes. So pain is so volatile that using your level of pain as a guide for making decisions around what you should or should not do just leads to chaos, reactivity, and more pain. So it begins to control you. You begin to make decisions and plans around your pain. You become more incessant about figuring it out, trying different things, and just hyper-focus on getting you out of pain. And, it sort of becomes a game, not a game that you want to entertain or play, but you've sort of been dealt and you're just really trying to solve it, right? And so chances are as you do this and the harder you try, the more you become frustrated, annoyed, upset, and maybe even worried about what the future looks like. And really, the more and more you do this, the deeper and deeper the hole gets, and it gets harder and harder to climb out of it. And it essentially just pours gasoline on the pain experience, and it just fuels it. So here's what focusing on pain relief looks like for most people. And I'm guessing if you're watching this video and you have some type of back, butt, or sciatica problem, you might be experiencing this. So this is what I hear from folks every day. So first things first, let's talk about the good days because, there are good days and bad days. So let's talk about the good days. So on the good days, here's what happens. You wake up and you're like, this is gonna be a good day, right? Like all is well, it's gonna be great. Pain is less for whatever reason, you're not really sure. And you decide that, you'll do a little bit more, maybe around the house. You'll go for an extra long walk. You'll just enjoy being in less pain, which you absolutely should. That's awesome that you have less pain, right? But at the same time, maybe you also had like an appointment scheduled with a local chiro, or you had a call set up with me, but you decided, hey, like I'm going to cancel it because you know what, Charlie, like things are doing a bit better today. So I just want to see how things go. Very typical. Right. And this is kind of what it looks like. So this is a woman inside of my glute relief accelerator program. And she basically said like, hey, she literally just enrolled a couple of days ago. I was very excited chatting with Charlie just, in this case, a day ago. I was like, hey, everything's going to be great. So the next day I built an IKEA closet. She was having a good day, right? And just kind of on a high and nothing hurt much, but revenge came during the night, leg pain. And that was my first lesson to learn with the little wink face. Okay, so she's taking it in a really good way, but still. And then this person commented below, Susan, so Friday night I built an IKEA closet. I'm laughing because, hey, that's the kind of stuff I do the minute I feel better. Congrats on getting some good sleep, right? So this is very common. And so there's nothing wrong with you. It's not your fault. It's just human behavior. You feel a little bit better. And you're like, hey, I'm going to do it. or you're going to cancel a chat with a specialist, right? And this is somebody who canceled a call with me. Actually, it was supposed to be today at 3 p.m. And, you know, I got a message and she says, hey, I found a series of exercise stretches that have reduced my pain. Probably for like a day or two, but these problems, if I know anything about them, which I'd like to think that I do, because this is all I do, they often come back. And if you just address something in isolation, right, then you don't have the other pieces of the puzzle. And then we wonder why this stuff lives on. All right. So sorry to call you out there, Tracy, but let me know if you need to chat. Okay. Hopefully, though, it works for you. All right. So look, this is what a good day looks like. So there's an inverse relationship between the amount of pain you have and then sort of the hope and happiness and function, if you will. And so this is what happens. All right. So if you have low pain, then you're like, woohoo, I'm on a high, like great day. I'm going to do more stuff like that. But what goes up must come down. And so let's talk about the bad days. So good days are followed by bad days, right? Which are defined by more pain than usual for whatever reason. So on bad days, you rest, right? You let things calm down. You kind of like, you crawl back into the bed and you say, all right, I'm just going to let this thing chill out, right? Discouragement and frustration are probably brewing. You alter your plans or again, build your day around the pain that you're experiencing because it's a bad day. Oftentimes a bit of panic sets in, right? You begin searching for ways to relieve your pain. You start asking yourself like, man, like, what did I do? Like, I can't figure out like why today was a good day and yesterday wasn't, etc. And so you browse YouTube for answers. You start talking with friends and family about your pain. Should say your pain or their pain. Maybe they've had a similar pain experience, and you fall back into research mode. And you know, you decide then to keep the chiropractic visit after all, even though you're just going to cancel the other day. Or maybe you reach out to me, you're like, hey, do you still have that time slot? Because like now today is a bad day and I want to talk to you, right? And you maybe really reach out to say like a local spine specialist or other people, often multiple, to figure out what's going on. And again, bad day, pain is high. And then there's like this frustration, despair, like everything sucks, I'm discouraged, this doesn't work mentality. So after winter comes spring, and after spring comes summer, and after summer comes fall. Right? It's a very predictable, never-ending cycle. And same for you if you're in pain. So as the pain goes up, right? Bad day, it's followed by maybe a good day. And so there's this inverse relationship between how you feel and what you do and the pain that you experience, which just leads you, literally, you can see it, on a roller coaster, physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's exhausting. And the higher the highs, the lower the lows. So Charlie, I was doing great for like a week. And then I woke up with pain today, like, oh, what happened? Right? Yeah, I hear this very often. You might have a setback or a flare-up. Actually, a very normal part of the process. Create another video on that. So look, this isn't you that I'm saying. I'm just saying when folks are in pain, we tend to go a bit insane. Not you as a person, as a crazy person, but it does tend to make us a little bit less clear with our judgments and our decision-making. So if you're in pain, then chances are you've gone a bit insane. And if you're feeling stuck, it's because you're chasing pain relief. You're riding that roller coaster. And I'm creating, again, this video to share with you this nugget of like, hey, you've got to get off that at some point because it's going to lead to a lack of clarity and judgment. And if you make judgments based off of that yo-yo effect, right, of good day, bad day, then you'll make good day decisions and bad day decisions. And your decisions will vary moment to moment because pain can go up and down moment to moment or day to day, right? So you need to stop doing that, ideally, and focus instead on a pain relief process and let pain relief naturally follow. So these are a couple members of my Glute Relief Accelerator program. This person's been in the program a little over 3 weeks. Sheila, just doing amazing and really switching her mindset. So you can see here, these are people that are talking about trusting the process. All right, this is not some cult or something like that, but you can see, hey, the difference in my life is absolutely remarkable. Trusting the process is so hard, but so worth it. K, trust the process. My journey has not been easy, but the words trust the process kept echoing in my mind. But seriously, trust the process. Mind blown, right? In the first lesson, mind blown, Wes says, like totally new stuff inside this program, right? And, you know, Heather says, trust the process one step at a time. Diane, I have similar anxieties and questions as you. I just found the best thing for me to do is just trust the program. Trust the process is what she's saying. Hang in there, trust the process, and you'll get better. I forgot to list one of the most important takeaways from phase one. Dan says, trust the process. And then finally, everything resonated so deeply with me. I was already trusting the process before I even joined the program. And this lady says, I agree. Trust the process. All right. So that's enough trusting the process. What the heck do they mean by trusting the process? Right. So let's first review what the process is and why trusting the process works for so many people. And it can probably help you for sure. All right. So the 4-step pain relief process I teach folks all over the world with back, butt, and sciatica problems is this. Okay. Optimize the environment. Step 1, scan the body or self-assess, use the mind and movement as medicine, then get back to life. And I'll talk about why this is important in a moment, but let's go through each of these. So step 1, optimize the healing environment. So the analogy that I like to use is like, hey, you cannot exercise a bad diet. So look, you can run on a treadmill. If you're trying to lose weight, you can run on a treadmill and exercise all day. But if you eat, donuts for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, then the chance that you're going to lose weight, at least in my experience, somebody has a different way to lose weight, right? Other than having a good diet and yes, some exercise, then let me know. But the chance you're going to lose weight if you eat the donuts all the time is not very high. So hopefully you would agree with the logic behind that. And the same thing goes with getting out of pain. So you can try shots, pills, surgery, chiropractor, massage, acupuncture, YouTube stretches, whatever. Great. That's the doing, right? It's the running on the treadmill part. But again, if you're eating donuts all day, and what I mean by that is if your environment is not physically or mentally optimized for healing, then you're just going to go back into a yucky healing environment. It's not going to work very well. So what I mean by that is this. There's 2 fronts that you need to consider on the sort of environmental optimization side, right? So you want to optimize things physically. And so essentially this is doing the deep detective work required to figure out what things in your environment, usually habits or routines or things like that you don't even know of, just because you don't know what you don't know. You've been doing things for many, many years, right, in a certain way, that are just nicking the scab and keeping you from getting better. This could be the way you're sleeping, sitting, bending, lifting, twisting, whatever, right? But we start to do some detective work there and pull out, what things are continuing to aggravate the problem and just isolate the variables. So you're not just randomly going and buying new mattresses and pillows and things like that. You've got to have a process, folks. Otherwise, you're going to, again, just get burnt out and exhausted and waste a whole lot of time, energy, and money. All right. So physically, we want to optimize that. Also mentally, if there's faulty mental frameworks, if there's certain things that you do not understand about the pain that you're experiencing, if there are certain beliefs, fears, worries, concerns, right, that are sort of mismanaged or unmanaged, and you're not sure how to reprocess them and or reframe them, right, in a way that is conducive to you getting better, then they will also hold you back. All right. You can get better, but if you're still afraid of movement, even though whatever you're dealing with is healed, then guess what? You're probably not going to move very well. All right. So this is the idea, is that we want to optimize the environment first, mentally and physically. The next step in the process, all right, is to teach you how to self-assess or scan the body, if you will. And the idea or the analogy, again, that I like to use for this is like you can't manage what you don't measure. So if you're trying to build a house and you don't have a tape measure or a level, then how do you know, like, if you need to cut this piece of wood longer or shorter, or you need to raise this up or lower or whatever? You don't, right? You'd just be guessing. So what happens is that when you don't have an objective way to kind of frame your pain experience, it just hurts today, or like, oh, this was good yesterday, but it's bad today. And it becomes very emotional. So we're trying to pull the emotion out of it so that you can make really clear decisions about what you need to do. And the only way to do that is to have some way of tracking or measuring what you're experiencing, right? So, and the other cool thing about self-assessment by moving your body and things like that is we can keep it really simple, and you're not relying upon someone else to evaluate you. So in the old days, old Charlie would fix lots of people. So I was trained by osteopaths, massage therapists, chiropractors, things like that. And I was doing all this evaluation, checking people's leg lengths and doing all this funky stuff, which has no merit basically anymore. And what was happening is that, I was good at evaluating and fixing people in the moment, but people sucked at evaluating and fixing themselves. So then wherever you are right now, if you go somewhere and you're relying upon that person to evaluate you, then guess what? Because you don't know how to evaluate yourself, you don't know how to fix yourself. And because you don't know how that person got to the conclusions that they arrived at, then you don't know how to solve your own problem. And that sucks, because then when you go home or you go on vacation or you move, then that person, unless they live with you, they have all the knowledge and understanding. So I want to give you the tools, knowledge, and understanding. And this is the process that we use. So again, self-assessment, you can't manage what you don't measure. You want to objectify the pain experience. So this way, you, the person in pain, right, are the best person to do this and objectify it, because you're the one who actually experiences the pain. I don't know what you're feeling, fortunately and unfortunately, knock on wood. But because you're the one in pain, you're actually in a very powerful position. You might just feel powerless at the moment because you don't have my brain. And that's what this process teaches you. All right. So self-assessment is really important to get a baseline and objectify what you're experiencing. Right. And this is just an example. So inside the program, right, we fill out things weekly. This is a weekly tracker, I call it, right? And so people are kind of recording their emotions, recording their pain triggers, I call that, basically things that are yucky, right? Or problematic in their life that increase their pain and they want to see improve, right? And week to week, we're making very logical decisions based off of data, not emotion. You can see this person every week is getting better, in which case they're not going to change anything. They're just going to keep going in the right direction for now, all right? So there's sort of a method behind the madness, if you will, and part of it is that we track things and we use data. All right, and again, you can see we do this week to week. So there's no guessing, right? We're testing, all right? And then the third step, so we've optimized brain and body. We've self-assessed, got a baseline. Now we're going to use the mind and movement as medicine, right? So there's many different inputs, if you will, right? Exercises, strategies, people, things you could do. And the inputs are just neutral. They're not good nor bad. But when you collide with them, something happens. So what is the decision-making logic or framework that you could learn? You can absolutely learn it. There's 8 steps to this process for me, and I would teach you those if you were to work with me, for example. But what is the decision-making process that you can use to figure out if this exercise that you're doing is something that you should do, and you can tell that immediately, if this is something that's a waste of time and you shouldn't do it, or if this is something you should avoid, because it's likely to make you worse. And that's really useful to have that, because there's lots and lots of things. And what you can do is you can take hundreds of different exercises and say, okay, so, I could plug these all in and figure that out if I wanted, but now, like, no, these aren't going to work and these aren't going to work. And now I just have like 5 or 6 that sort of I've narrowed it down to. And now I can run it through these 8 steps, if you will, this decision-making logic and this filter to figure out, is this something right for me and something I should be doing or not? All right, so instead of asking, hey, like, what exercise should I do? Which is a very passive response. And you're looking for someone to give you that information, in which case you don't learn what you need to do. And I'm about teaching you and giving you the tools, knowledge, and understanding you need to treat yourself. You should instead say like, hey, how can I tell immediately what I should or I shouldn't do? Right. And that's a question. That's how I'd reframe the question you have. So if you've ever said to someone like, hey, what exercise should I do? That's like a very passive, like, hey, I'm the student, like, what's the answer to question number 4? So it doesn't teach you a whole lot. So I can't do the math homework for you. If you really want long-term results, you've got to do it for yourself. So instead, let me teach you the logic. And again, you've got lots of inputs. And so how can you tell what you should do or you shouldn't do? Mind and movement as medicine. And this basically is a major shift for most people in pain, from the, hey, fix me to, and tell me what I need to do, to teach me what I need to know and who I need to become so that I can understand how to best fix myself and solve my own problem. And so basically, again, I would teach you a decision-making framework that allows you to figure out what things you should be doing and are worthwhile versus those that are a waste of time and or those which you should avoid, so that you never have the question of like, what do I do next? Or like, is this exercise right for me? And then finally, right, we got to get you back to life at some point, right? So like, how do you deal with setbacks? Because setbacks will happen. Recovery for folks with unresolved back, butt, sciatic problems is very rarely just like, woohoo, I started this thing and like, I'm perfect, right? Does it happen? Of course, it can happen. But a lot of people, they're doing well and then they'll have a setback. And that's actually probably by design. I actually love, right, that people have setbacks because it's an opportunity for you to learn. And so it's like, if every time you get on the bike, right, you never fall off, well, I mean, yeah, I guess you could say you're pretty good at it, but do you really ever learn? And often, right, we learn more from our failures than we do success. So at the end of the day, if you fall off the bike, then you start to say, what did I do? Oh, there was a little bit too much gravel on the ground. So next time, right, when there's gravel on the ground or wet leaves or this really annoys me, someone cuts the lawn and it goes into the street, right? I've got to be careful of that grass because it's very slippery, right? And so bringing this back to pain, if you have some bad days, right, it's not good nor bad. If you're following a pain relief process, which is constant, it just is what it is. And the data shows I had a dip, right? It was a bad day. And so what do I do and how do I learn from that? Right. So it gives you a chance to get back on the bike. Right. How do you go back to activity? Do you just start playing tennis again or going for a run or hiking or whatever? Probably not. There's probably a way to reduce the risk of setback and slowly figure out a process or a way of getting back to that. And what about prevention? Right. So there's no foolproof 100% way to prevent this problem, but there are ways that we can, if we do path A, then the chance of you getting preventing this is higher versus path B, right? So there are different ways that we can work to improve how you feel long-term and reduce the chance of reoccurrence or improve the overall prevention of the problem you're dealing with. So there it is. All right. So you've got to optimize the environment mentally and physically, self-assess or scan the body, objectify, mind and movement. How do you know what you should do or you shouldn't do? And what's the process for that? There's 8 steps to it. And then how do you get back to life? So recognize that during this whole process, right, or talk about the process, there's no chapter discussion around like, is your pain high or low, or are you having a good day or a bad day? We're not really talking about that stuff. We're just talking about a proven pain relief process that's worked for thousands of people that grounds you. It's important. It grounds you and remains constant no matter what. So here's the power of trusting the process. So Sheila inside the program, right? Trust in the process hard, but so worth it. I look forward to continuing as challenges come, working through them instead of shutting down. So thankful for this program. So this person actually looks forward to having the bad days and the setbacks, all right? Meaning they see them as an opportunity for growth, right? Versus discouragement, despair, frustration, things like that, which if you don't have a process, it's very easy to feel hopeless because you don't understand why you're having setbacks. You don't understand the bad days. It's just like, hey, it's a good day and I don't really know why. And hey, it's a bad day and I don't really know why. So that being said, there's a process to appreciating the good days as well as appreciating the bad days. And I see these things as opportunities, and people who understand and trust the process also persevere through the bad days because they have an understanding of what's going on there. So the difference between the pain relief process and pain relief is really this: principles first and tactics second. All right, so look, a tactic is a specific thing that you use or do intended to get you a result. In this case, pain relief, because that's what you want, right? And I get it, long-term, that's what you want. But if you don't follow a process, chance of you getting there is much less. So tactics are faddish, myopic, meaning sort of like very narrow-minded, if you will, right? Reactive, superficial, and changeable. So if somebody asks this, how do you know if you're focused on pain relief? Dr. Charlie PT from YouTube. So which exercises help in an extrusion? I don't know, man, or whoever that was, okay? That's really difficult. You can say, hey, Charlie, you're withholding information. I'm not. If I tell you to do press-ups, because that's what Mackenzie might do for something like that, right? I'm not saying he would or he wouldn't, but let's just say that, that's a lot of stuff out there, is they'd say, hey, I'm doing these press-ups. I actually think this was a video of mine where I was talking about press-up variations. I'm doing these things. Well, they might actually make you worse if you have a disc problem. But that's not what everybody else tells you, right? So then what do? Well, it's really like you have to follow a process and you have to systematically begin testing to figure it out, all right? 5 best sciatica stretches for piriformis syndrome, completely out of context and like no process or no logic behind that, all right? No principles grounding this, just like, hey, 5 best sciatica stretches. Okay, try them. And if they make you worse, then sorry. Instant relief from sciatica pain. Get rid of sciatica pain, instant relief, 5 minutes. Okay. Instant piriformis relief here, right? So really good headlines, and notice that these people, they get a lot of views. They're not hitting on them. They're educating a lot of people, but I'm just saying a lot of views, very clickbaity, good titles, but not what the world needs, if you ask me. All right. Oh, and then maybe seeing this like on a banner or a billboard, non-surgical spinal decompression. Are you suffering from chronic back pain? We'll just put you on this machine and it'll solve all your problems. No. Buy this Theragun. It'll improve blood flow and also make you have this nasty face every time you do it because it hurts so good. No. So look, will these things help some people? Of course. I can see the comments now like, oh, that thing cured me, right? Like, don't talk bad about other people. I'm not. I'm just saying that in my experience with people I chat with, it doesn't work very well. 80-20 rule. 80% of people who try these things are going to be worse. You need to start changing the questions. The quality of your results when it comes to solving these problems will be determined by the quality of your questions, right? And how willing you are to do some deep work. Not all the superficial stuff. Again, it's not your fault because it's marketed to folks like you, all right? So, of course, anything can help someone. But without the context of understanding why you're doing what you're doing, how to decide if something is right for you or not, and knowing the other steps of the process, right? Stepping back and seeing the big picture, tactics generally result in short-term changes versus long-term relief. Hopefully that makes sense. Right? So, yeah, 5 minutes of stretching might help you in the moment, but it's not going to overcome 5 hours of bad habits. So think back to step 1, right? Like if you don't optimize the healing environment, if you still eat donuts, you can run on the treadmill all you want. You're not going to lose weight. You can do all these stretches for 5 minutes, right? At least you can do them and you're not relying upon someone else. So thanks, Caroline. But at the same time, like, well, what about what you're doing, at work or throughout the rest of the day or while you sleep, right? So, and again, obviously this is just one of her videos in this case, but this is the idea. Okay. So this stuff is, gets people clicking, but it fails to look at the big picture. All right. So in searching for pain relief and trying all kinds of different tactics results in, again, exhaustion, frustration, and burnout, because either nothing works, right? Or, you know, it works temporarily, or maybe it just pisses you off. That's a possibility as well. But, you know, the problem might just keep coming back too. So tactics are not ultimate solutions, but they are often implemented as if they are. So we try new exercises, decompression, buy massage guns, etc., and we expect results. We fall for the marketing copy and want to believe the hype that just trying this one more thing will somehow work. Right? A guy had gone to like in pain for like 2 years, right? And he's been going to a PT for like 7 months. He's like, oh, we just tried this one thing. And I think like maybe I feel a little bit better today. So like, I'm good. It's like, what? You have one good day, right? You do one different thing and then you feel good today. And then you make, again, pain relief. You make a logical decision about like working or not working or trying something completely new based off of just an N of one data point. So again, that's great if you feel a bit better, but you had millions of days like that. And it's always followed by a day that feels bad. All right. So just recognize that it's useful to step back. All right. So tactics rarely work because pain is complex. And no single exercise or modality takes all the moving pieces into account. So just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it, right? I have a guy I just chatted with the other day who said, hey, Charlie, I'm going to get my injection. And he has an injection in like 3 or 4 weeks, right? And he said, I'm going to do that. And the reason for doing it is that it's free. And because he has his appointment scheduled. But then when you talk to them about the logic of like, well, do you want that? No, I don't really want that. I really don't think that's going to work. Well, then why are you doing it? Because basically what he was saying is because I can, and it's free. So just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. Just because you can smoke cigarettes doesn't mean you should, right? That's the idea. Okay, so principles first, tactics second. So remember this slide. Tactics are faddish, myopic, reactive, superficial, changeable, right? Moment to moment based off your pain. You're going to pick a different tactic, a different exercise. Days are good. I don't think I need exercise. I'll cancel my appointment, right? Days are bad. Help me. So principles last forever. And this is really key to understand, all right? So principle, I would kind of define this as like an eternal truth, right? Or fundamental understanding of how something works, which serves to guide decision-making. So someone who has principles lives by them and doesn't deviate easily. And you've probably heard this before, right? So someone in pain who understands the principles, which undertow pain relief, remains steadfast and focused like a laser, regardless of changes in pain level. They stick to the process and know that if they follow it, results are inevitable. So again, here it is. Optimize the environment mentally, physically, self-assess or scan the body, mind and movement as medicine, figure out exactly what you need to do, sniper approach versus shotgun, and then back to life and track the process so that you know where you're headed and you can make logical decisions based off data and less on emotion. You can't remove it completely, but less on emotion. And what's so cool is that no matter how complex or different your situation is, I hear this all the day, like, hey, I've stumped 4 other people, or hey, like I've tried 12 other things, like my situation is very complex. And look, that's okay if you feel that way, but I'm just telling you that the pain relief process never changes. You still need to optimize the environment mentally and physically. You might need a little bit more physical than mental or mental than physical or whatever, all right? But you need to do that. You need to learn to self-assess and objectify the problem. It doesn't matter how big the house is, you still have to use a tape measure and a level, all right? And then you need to have some process for figuring out what you should do and you shouldn't do. It doesn't matter if you've had pain for 20 years or 2 months. And then you need to figure out how to get back to life. That's the process. It never changes no matter what's going on. Even outside of this area, you have a neck problem, the same thing. So tactics change, right? Based off pain relief. But the principles behind the process remain constant. So that's it. Look, don't trust the next new treatment, tactic, or person to resolve your pain or something on the billboard. I guess it could work and you can try it. Obviously, it's your body, your money, your time, and energy, right? But I wouldn't recommend it, especially if you've been trying stuff for a while and it hasn't worked, right? Be willing to look within and do the deep work required for relief. You have to invest some time and energy learning this. Because again, if you're relying upon someone else to evaluate and fix you, then you're dependent upon them. Wouldn't you rather be dependent upon yourself and put money on yourself, right? And invest in yourself to learn what you need to do? I think it makes sense, but you have to make the call, right? So invest the time, effort, and energy into learning the principles which lead to pain relief, which ultimately allows you to become self-sustainable and essentially your own best healer, all right? So look, that's it. Trust the process. Hopefully you understand the process, right? And you kind of get where I'm coming from and why. Again, no pressure, but if this is something you'd like my help with, this is sort of what I do. So feel free to click above, fill out the application, answer a couple basic questions. I don't work with everybody. It is a specialty program. So that being said, I'm looking for the best students. The better the student, the better the result. If you think that's you and you're like, hey, I'm willing to do some work and I want to learn how to fix myself, click the link above, fill out the application, and set up a time to chat. So thanks so much, everybody. Hopefully this was useful. Just again, shift that little mindset and approach this from just a different angle. All right. Until next time, stay well.